What if a single act of kindness, offering a ride to a stranger in the rain, could change not only your life, but your definition of family? Ethan Walker, a single father and carpenter from a quiet town, never expected that slowing down for a tearful woman in scrubs would lead him into a whirlwind of secret scandal and second chances. But the woman he helped, Dr. Claire Monroe, wasn't just any nurse. She was a former top-tier doctor, blacklisted for telling the truth. What began as a rainy night favor soon pulled them into courtroom battles, community miracles, and a bond stronger than either dared imagine. How do you rebuild trust when the world tells you to run? And what do you do when the person you feared losing becomes the very one who helps you find yourself again? Stay with us, because by the end, you'll believe that some storms don't destroy. They reveal where home really is. Rain hammered Fair Hill's empty streets like a judgment when Ethan Walker eased his battered Ford pickup to the curb. He had exactly 20 minutes to reach Maple Row Apartments and braid Lily's hair before school, but the figure under the flickering bus stop light stole his focus. A woman in pale blue scrubs, hunched beneath the shelter, arms wrapped tight shoulders, quaking in a way cold alone couldn't explain. The rest of the town blurred. Her grief was the only clear thing in the storm. Ethan cracked the passenger window wiper blades, throttling back and forth. "Need a ride?" The words felt ridiculous. Night shift nurses learned early not to trust strangers, but the question leapt out before he could throttle it. The woman lifted her face, rainwater and tears indistinguishable on skin gone paper white. For a heartbeat he saw defiance there, a weary dignity balancing on the edge of collapse. Then something softened. She nodded. Inside the cab, the heater offered more enthusiasm than actual warmth. "I'm Ethan." He kept both hands on the wheel, knuckles pale against the leather. "Where to, Elman 3rd, she whispered, voice sand-worn. "I'm Claire, Dr. Claire Monroe, technically." Only then did he notice the faint imprint where an ID badge had once clipped to her scrub top, the plastic now missing like a torn wing. Traffic lights bled red onto the slick asphalt as they rolled forward. Ethan wanted to ask if she was okay, but Lily's bedtime rule echoed in his head. Never pry when kindness will do. Instead, he dialed his phone. "Pumpkin. Mr. Harlow's dropping you at school. Be good. Love you." A child's laugh answered. He hung up, pulse settling. Claire's gaze lingered on the cracked dashboard photos, Lily in oversized safety goggles sanding a birdhouse. Ethan balancing a maple bookshelf on his shoulder. "Your daughter?" she asked. "Center of my universe," he said. 9 going on 19. A hint of warmth flickered in her eyes, then died as quickly as it came. "You're lucky." He caught the past tense clinging to her words like burrs. Luck had nothing to do with it, just refusing to leave. Too late, he realized the line might cut. Claire's jaw tightened. Ethan cursed himself silently. He changed lanes, water geysering beneath bald tires, and offered the only reparation he could think of. Silence. Blocks later, the truck rolled in front of a sagging duplex. The porch light was out. A foreclosure notice flapped against the door. Claire let out a small, involuntary breath that sounded eerily like defeat. "Thank you," she managed. Her hand stalled on the door handle as if opening it might shatter her completely. Ethan's mouth worked before his brain. "Let me at least walk you in. Roof looks like it leaks more than this sky." She almost laughed to sound brittle but alive. "Roof isn't my problem anymore." She stepped into the rain. Ethan hurried after her, umbrella-less water slapping the brim of his cap. At the threshold, she hesitated, key poised. "I was evicted while on shift," she confessed. "Didn't know until 20 minutes ago." Lightning cracked, illuminating boxes stacked like tombstones inside. A single cardboard carton lay, split medical journals, bleeding ink across the warped floor. On top sat a porcelain crane, its beak snapped clean off. Claire's shoulders sagged. Whatever pride had held them erect collapsed. Ethan felt a tug, a carpenter's instinct to brace a fragile beam before it crashed. "There's space at our place," he said, shocking even himself. Couch folds out. "Lily will insist you pick the bedtime story." Claire blinked through wet lashes. "You don't know me. I know you stopped for someone's heartbreak before your own," he replied, tipping his head toward the journals. "You care. That's enough for a night." For a full 10 seconds only Rain spoke. Then, with the care of a surgeon suturing skin, Claire closed the duplex door behind her and followed Ethan back to the truck. They drove beneath sagging power lines toward Maple Row, where a lamp burned in Lily's window. Claire traced raindrops on the glass like Morse code. "Why are you helping?" she asked finally. Ethan kept his eyes on the flooded road. "Because someone once pulled me in from the storm when I had nowhere to go," he said. He didn't mention the divorce papers that had arrived the same week the nights he'd braided his daughter's hair with shaking hands. None of it mattered now. "We all pay kindness forward or the world stops turning." Claire let her head rest against the seat, exhaustion loosening her clenched fingers for the first time that night. Somewhere behind them, dawn tried to punch through the clouds and failed. But for Ethan, the simple act of steering toward home felt like sunrise. Before they reached Maple Row, Claire cleared her throat. "For the record, I'm not broken," she said quietly. "Just misplaced," he smiled. Woodworkers fix misplaced things all the time. The truck turned onto Maple Row's gravel lot, tires crunching like applause. Inside the apartment building, Lily's giggle filtered down the hallway, bright enough to outshine any foreboding sky. Thanks for watching. Sorry for the interruption, but we hope you will help us improve our content in the future. Now viewers, place yourself on that rain-slick curb. Would you have opened your car door to a stranger soaked in secrets? Does Ethan's leap of faith feel reckless or heroic to you? Type 50. If you believe storms can forge the strongest bonds, tell us what country you're watching from, and share what would you do when a stranger's story collides with your own. The morning after the storm, the Maple Row smelled of cinnamon pancakes and fresh-cut pine. Claire Monroe woke on Ethan's fold-out couch, startled by the warmth of Lily's 9-year-old fingers braided through hers. In the kitchen, Ethan flipped pancakes with carpenter's precision, humming off-key to a Motown classic. For a fleeting second, Claire let herself believe in ordinary happiness. Then her phone buzzed with a Boston area code she recognized, St. Elora Medical Institute. She silenced it, pulse thudding. Boston had chewed her up once. She wasn't ready for a second bite. Lily bounced in wearing a superhero cape made from an old drop cloth. Aunt Claire wants syrup rivers or syrup lakes. The girl's easy affection stung Claire more than the phone call. "Rivers, kiddo," she whispered, praying she wouldn't drown in them. 2 weeks passed like pages in Ethan's sketchbook full of pencil-smudged promise, Claire teaching Lily to fold origami cranes for Mrs. Harlow upstairs, Ethan sanding a miniature bookshelf and branding it Doctor of Stories for Claire's scattered medical texts. Yet unease lurked in small shadows, Claire's tremor when the mail arrived, Ethan's glance at the overdue rent notice he tried to hide under tool catalogs. On a windy Saturday, they set up Ethan's booth at Riverbend Weekend Market. Lily hawked cedar cutting boards with the gravitas of a Fortune 500 CEO. Claire wandered off for vegetables, returning with only a single bell pepper and a polite smile. Ethan's heart pinched. No one deliberately cooks so little unless their wallet's empty. That night, he crafted a smaller board just for her initials, CM, etched beneath a soaring crane. As wood chips spiraled onto the workshop floor, the first real crack in his hard-won caution appeared. Monday detonated without warning. Ethan arrived at Fairhill Regional Hospital after a frantic call. Lily had toppled from playground monkey bars, possible concussion. Racing down pediatric corridors, he collided with a suited man barking into a phone. The stranger's voice dripped contempt. "She'll never work in Boston again." "Whistleblowers kill prophets." The name badge read Dr. Jonathan Blake. Ethan froze. Blake noticed, sneered. "Looking for Dr. Monroe. Ask her about the millions she cost us." He strode away before Ethan could demand answers. Inside exam room 4, Claire knelt beside Lily, shining a pen light across the girl's pupils. Her voice was velvet calm, but her knuckles blanched around the chart. "Mild concussion, no neuro deficit," she assured Ethan. "Lily, woozy yet fearless," announced Aunt Claire, "promised me grape popsicles." Claire ruffled the cape, but Ethan saw dread flicker behind her eyes. When Lily was wheeled for observation, Ethan cornered Claire in a linen alcove. "Who's Jonathan Blake, and why is he calling you a whistleblower?" Her shoulders squared like a soldier's. "He was my fiancé and my department chair. I reported unsafe drug trials. He buried me to protect funding." She swallowed. "I should have told you sooner. I was trying to be just Claire, not a headline." Ethan's chest tightened, old scars, throb Bing. Vanessa Whitmore had abandoned him for a promotion in Seattle. Now another brilliant woman with a complicated life stood inches from his world. When Boston cleans up its mess, will you still be just Claire in Fair Hill? Or will you run back? Pain flashed across her face, quickly shuddered. I don't know what comes next. I'm still paying lawyers. That's not an answer, he said, voice rougher than intended. The silence between them grew thick enough to carve. A nurse signaled Lily was asking for him. Ethan stalked down the hall, half furious with Claire, half furious with himself for caring so much after such little time. By sunrise, Lily was cleared to go home. Claire appeared with discharge papers and a great popsicle. For the bravest superhero, she said softly. Lily beamed. Ethan looked away. In the parking lot, Claire offered the cutting board Ethan had secretly left at her locker. It's beautiful, she murmured, slipping it back into his hands. But gifts don't fix unanswered questions. She walked toward the bus stop scrub top, fluttering like a tattered flag. Ethan buckled Lily into the truck, heart slamming against his ribs the way hammers struck nails. He glanced at the cutting board, wood warm from Claire's touch initials catching dawn light. Every fiber of him wanted to chase her, but fear, old familiar choking, nailed his feet to the asphalt. That evening, he found Lily sketching 3 stick figures in their community garden plot: a bearded man, a caped girl, a woman with a stethoscope. Across the top, she'd written, "My team." Ethan swallowed hard. He could build rocking chairs that outlived hurricanes, yet he couldn't guarantee this fragile trio would survive one more storm of adult doubt. Across town, Claire unlocked a dingy studio sublet. The voicemail icon blinked another call from Boston, this time offering reinstatement under new leadership. She deleted it. Outside her window, tulips she'd planted in a cracked pot had pushed brave green shoots through Oregon frost. Maybe roots mattered more than titles. But her phone chimed again, an email from the hospital board's legal counsel demanding deposition dates. She sank onto the mattress, head in her hands, wondering if staying would endanger the walkers more than leaving ever could. Thanks for watching. Sorry for the interruption, but we hope you will help us improve our content in the future. Your turn, viewers. Should Ethan risk his heart and Lily's stability by trusting Claire's unfinished fight with Boston? Or should Claire protect them by walking away before the next legal firestorm hits? Drop 75 in the comments if you believe some battles are worth standing together for, and tell us where in the world you're watching from. A spring storm rolled into Fair Hill the night Claire packed her final box, thunder booming like a judge's gavel. She set the box by the door, then paused at the crane-carved cutting board leaning against the wall, Ethan's gift she hadn't been able to return. Her Boston deposition was in 48 hours. If she stayed, Blake's lawyers would drag Ethan and Lily into the spotlight. Walking away felt like the only way to shield them. Yet a single thought pulsed louder than the rain. Home isn't a place you escape. It's the one you fight for. Across town, Ethan couldn't sleep. Lily had asked why Claire missed movie night again, her brown eyes a mirror of the ache inside him. He'd mumbled excuses and tucked her in, but the silence afterward was unbearable. At midnight, he found himself at his workbench, shaving curls of walnut into the shape of a tiny house. With every pass of the chisel, he heard Claire's calm voice explaining medical jargon till Lily saw her hands steady under emergency room fluorescents, felt her head brush his shoulder while they counted orioles in the community garden. The truth surfaced as clear as fresh-cut grain. Fear was whittling his life down to splinters. He brushed sawdust from his jeans, grabbed his keys, and drove into the storm. Claire's studio lights glowed dimly through warped blinds. Ethan knocked once. The door opened on the second. She stood there in an oversized sweater, hair pulled into a tired knot, eyes rimmed with the red of too many brave decisions. I was just leaving, she said, chin lifted. To Boston, he asked. To nowhere in particular. Away is safer. She gestured at the boxes. You and Lily deserve peace. Ethan stepped inside, rain pooling on the mat. He placed the walnut house in her palm, a thumb-sized piece with heart-shaped windows. I build things to last, Claire. That includes us. Let me stand beside you in court and gardens and grocery lines, wherever. Her fingers trembled around the carving. You don't understand what Blake's capable of. Then educate me, Dr. Monroe, he said, voice steady. We'll face him like we face everything together. A gust rattled the window as if the universe demanded her answer. Claire exhaled tears, tracking the same path rain had carved weeks earlier. "Okay," she whispered. "Together." The courtroom in Boston smelled of varnish and old money, but Ethan's calloused hand wrapped around Claire's felt like armor. Blake's legal team fired questions meant to unravel her credibility, but Claire's testimony remained surgical charts, time-stamped signatures. When Blake's lawyer insinuated that her new relationship was a pity project, Ethan's laugh echoed through the chamber, low, warm, unafraid. "Any man who thinks compassion is weakness has never tried being a single dad," he said. The gallery murmured approval. Blake's smirk faltered. 3 tense hours later, the board ruled in Claire's favor: reinstatement, public apology, punitive damages sufficient to erase her legal debts twice over. Reporters swarmed, but she bypassed the microphones to hug Ethan in relief, shaking her shoulders. "Let's go home," he said, and for the first time she knew which city he meant. Fair Hill welcomed them with yellow tulips that had erupted around Elmwood Green Patch like a standing ovation. Lily sprinted down the garden path cape, flying to deliver news the town council had approved a grant for a community health outpost space available, but no budget for build-out. Ethan's eyes met Claire's. "Sounds like a job for a carpenter and a doctor," he said. All summer saws sang beside stethoscopes. Volunteers raised walls from reclaimed cedar. Ethan sourced at cost. Claire secured donated exam tables and fridges for vaccines. Lily designed the clinic's logo, a crane carrying a heart painted above the door in bold crimson. On opening day, Mrs. Harlow cut the ribbon with kitchen shears while half the town cheered. Inside, Ethan unveiled the waiting room bench he'd built from the beams of Claire's old duplex, each plank planed, smooth yet retaining nail scars, a testament that broken things could serve again. Claire placed the walnut house on the reception desk, a tiny beacon beneath the sign that read, "Walker Monroe Community Clinic, Healing Together." That evening, long after the last child left with a new inhaler and the last veteran scheduled a blood pressure follow-up, Claire found Ethan in exam room 2 installing a shelf. The only light came from sunset leaking through frosted glass, gilding the fine sawdust in his beard. She hugged him from behind. "We did it," she murmured. "We're just getting started," he replied, turning to kiss her forehead. A soft knock interrupted them, Lily in pajamas brandishing a clipboard. "Patient 1 needs a bedtime story," she declared. They followed her home where Claire read The Velveteen Rabbit while Ethan braided Lily's hair. When the story ended, Lily blinked sleepily. "Real things happen when you're loved very much," she quoted, then drifted into dreams. Claire and Ethan slipped onto the balcony overlooking Maple Row, 3 sets of rain boots lined neatly by the door. Lightning flickered on the horizon but stayed distant, like a threat that no longer reached them. Ethan linked his fingers through Claire's. "Storm's moving east," he observed. She smiled, heart finally quiet. "Let it. We're staying put. Thanks for watching. Sorry for the interruption, but we hope you will help us improve our content in the future. So now it's your turn. Friends, which moment hit you hardest? The courtroom comeback, the clinic built from ruined beams, or Lily's simple declaration of family? Type 100 in the comments if you believe real love is carved from courage, and tell us what country you're watching from. Know someone caught in their own storm? Share this video, their sunrise might be one act of kindness away.